and welcome to Murphy's Garden. This is just a very short video on how to plant a tree. So if you've got a tree and you've got to plant it, the best thing to do is do it quickly, get it in the ground so that it's establishing quickly and the roots don't dry out. We've got two trees behind me. We've got this Bachelor Giacomonte. This is a lovely multi-stemmed one, and we want to add it to the woodland garden where we've currently got some existing single-stemmed Bachelor tree. So we just want to add it to that because I think that will sort of bring down the height and just add a bit of extra interest in another layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the plants into soak. So we did take them out of the pots because we needed the pots for another job in the garden. So they're out of the pots. So I've put them into a basin of water where they're just soaking. So it's best if you can let them soak for a few hours before you plant them, give them a really good drink. So the next thing to do is to decide where the tree is going to go, where the trees are going to go. I've got two. So this is one of the sites that I've chosen, and it's just amongst woodland planting. We've already got some single stem trees. There's one just here, but I think just by having this multi-stemmed one here will just add extra interest. This part of the path just kind of comes in a little bit, so I think you would get kind of up close to the tree, and I think that would look nice. There's also one here. There's an obelisk here that doesn't normally stay here, but there's a tree just behind there as well, so that obelisk needs to move. But anyway, so there'll be three trees in quite close together, and they do look nice planted close together. So the next thing to do is to just start clearing the site of some of the existing planting. So there's lots of bulbs, nice spring bulbs that are just about to come out or are out, something in the case of the snowdrops. So I've just lifted those out in big clumps and just set them aside so as not to disturb them too much. And then the soil in this area is really nice, quite nice soil. Lots of garden compost has been added over the years, so we don't need to add any more at the time of planting. That it's absolutely fine. So Alistair's brought over the tree and he's just measured the size of the root ball and dug a hole accordingly. So he's just putting in a little bit of earth just to make sure there's some nice loose soil at the bottom. He's just breaking that up just to make sure that the roots can get down and go out and find goodness in the soil around. So that's that. Okay, so we just put some water down the hole, and then we know that there's moisture down there. Because once it's planted, it's quite difficult to get the water down to the roots. So just sprinkle some mycorrhizal fungi over the roots and do it over the planting holes, so any excess just drops in the hole. So the addition of mycorrhizal fungi helps to create a better root system for the tree, which will result in greater vigour and a higher resistance to drought. It works by stimulating root growth and creates a secondary root system which encourages the uptake of nutrients from the soil. And Alice's just teasing the roots out of the pot so that they'll go into the hole and seek out moisture. And lowering into the hole, and that's just at the perfect height. So we have a little bit of soil around it just to hold it in firmly. The most important thing is just to make sure you decide how the tree looks best. So we want this tree to be quite near to the edge of the path. So just finding the front. Yeah, I think that looks good. Yeah, that looks good. And then just backfill. And then once he's done that, I can go around and just put in some of I've got some nice all the little snowdrops and daffodils and things are right, so that I can just backfill the area with some of the bulbs just to make it look nice for the spring. So this is some of the snowdrops that I've dug out, so I can split those. I'll use the opportunity. They were still flowering, but I had to move them, otherwise they would have got trampled. So I'll take the opportunity just to split them in the green and multiply our stock. So it's just working the soil down into the hole. It's really important that you get that the soil is in contact with the roots and there's no root rock I think the previous one the one that was in here that we lost, I think that was probably because it had a bit of root rot, because they were incredibly tall trees. These ones aren't nearly so big, they're quite small, and I kind of deliberately wanted them small because they're far quicker to establish, far quicker to plant, easier to plant, and they don't need nearly so much staking. The other ones were staked, they had to be staked belt and braces for 3 years because they were so big and swayed about so much in the wind. We're not adding any new compost or anything, because it's far better that the tree is used to the area, that the soil that's there, that it's got to grow in, rather than if you just put goodness in that the hole, then it will stay in the hole, but you want it to go out and find nutrients elsewhere. So Alistair's now just heeling in the tree, so that's when you just press down with your heel and you find that the soil or the earth will sink quite a bit, and you can just add a little bit more soil on top. But the idea is you want it to be, the tree to be planted sort of at the same planting height as it was in the pot. You don't want a lot of earth over the top of it, and you don't want to create a kind of like a sump that rainwater will accumulate in, and it could potentially cause rotting. And that's even more relevant if you're in clay soil, which doesn't drain very well. And just remember to keep the tree well watered during any dry spells, especially for the first year after planting. So that's the 2 multi-stem silver birches planted, and then I've just replanted the area with all the bulbs that I temporarily moved. So I've got the snowdrops, got this lovely hellebore in the background there, and I think the trees are going to be lovely. They look really nice against the grey fence, and they're not tall trees. They're just to see as reference, that's a 6-foot fence, and they're probably just over 7 foot tall, compared to the ones that we had in previously, which you can see are a lot taller. They go right up. So, but these will catch up, and with them being multi-stemmed, I think they just add that extra level of interest. So, so the little woodland garden's looking pretty. It's nice to see all the bulbs, little polyanthers and snowdrops, another lovely clump of hellebores, and this is the other tree that we've planted. So that's nice because the path comes in a bit here, so you can really appreciate the interest of the branches. And there in the background we've got a stinking hellebore and a Fatsia japonica and lots of nice ferns and things. So yeah, I've just got to tidy away all my tools, and it's nice to see the area all weeded and looking nice. And there's a cup of tea there on the side, so all that's left to do is have my cup of tea.